The world is now looking, and many powerful voices are speaking out. France, the United Kingdom, and Canada. These aren't small names, you know. They've just issued their strongest words yet. A joint statement, a united front. They are condemning Israel's war in Gaza, specifically the new offensive. Their message is very clear. Stop, halt this military expansion now. These three nations did not mince words. They said the level of human suffering in Gaza, it is intolerable. Imagine hearing that from your allies. They are calling for an immediate ceasefire. And very importantly, for hostages. All remaining hostages must be released. They stated they strongly oppose Israel's plans to expand military operations in Gaza. This is a significant shift in tone. They acknowledge Israel's right to self-defense, especially after the heinous attack of October 7th. Nobody's forgetting that horror. But they also say this current escalation, it is wholly disproportionate. That's a very strong diplomatic term. It means things have gone too far. The response doesn't match the initial threat. This is a direct challenge to Israel's strategy, a tough message from close partners. The statement came with a serious warning, a kind of if this, then that situation, if Israel does not cease the renewed military offensive and lift its restrictions on humanitarian aid. Then we will take further concrete steps. What kind of steps, you ask? They mentioned sanctions as a possibility, or even recognizing Palestine as an independent state. These are not small threats in diplomacy. The pressure is definitely ratcheting up. To understand today, we must look back to October 7th, 2023. That day, Hamas launched its attacks. These were described as heinous. Around 1,200 people were killed. The vast majority were Israeli civilians. It was a day of immense shock and grief. Furthermore, 251 people were taken hostage, dragged from their homes into Gaza, a nightmare for so many families. Israel understandably declared it had to respond. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed action. The stated goals were clear, at least initially, to dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, to ensure such an attack could never happen again, and crucially, to bring the hostages home safely. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, began operations. These operations started with airstrikes and soon escalated into a ground offensive in Gaza, a response that continues to this day. The conflict did not just pause after the initial response. There was a ceasefire, a quiet period. It lasted for about 2 months, a small breather. But that ended around March 18, 2025. Israel broke that ceasefire, it's reported, with massive airstrikes hitting Gaza. Since that ceasefire ended in March, thousands more have been killed in Gaza. The cycle of violence just keeps turning, making peace seem ever more distant. Mr. Netanyahu has responded to the criticism from France, UK and Canada. He said their leaders are offering Hamas a prize, a huge prize for the genocidal attack. He believes this invites more atrocities. He stated the war could end, but with conditions. Hamas must return all hostages. Hamas must disarm completely. Its leaders should go into exile, and Gaza must be demilitarized. Very tough terms. The human cost in Gaza is staggering. It's a word we hear a lot. Catastrophe. But what does it actually mean on the ground? It means families are suffering immensely. International opinion has been shifting, partly due to some critical incidents. One such event was the killing of 15 paramedics and aid workers by Israeli forces. This happened on March 23, 2025, just 5 days after the ceasefire broke. The details of that March incident are grim. Video evidence reportedly contradicted Israel's claims. Israel had claimed the workers were a threat, but footage suggested otherwise, fueling outrage. This is not an isolated type of event. Sadly, just recently, on a single day, May 19th, Israeli strikes killed at least 38 people. This happened in a terrifying half-hour period. Medics on the ground reported these numbers. Imagine living under such constant fear. Then there's the issue of aid. Basic survival. Mr. Netanyahu decided to allow minimal food into Gaza, but the UK, France and Canada called this wholly inadequate. You can't just give a starving person a crumb. On Monday, May 19th, 2025, a stark example. Only 5 aid trucks entered Gaza. 5. The United Nations described this amount as a drop in the ocean of what's needed. People need food, water, medicine, shelter, and they need it on a massive scale. Antonio Costa, president of the European Council, spoke. He was at a summit in London. He called the crisis in Gaza a tragedy. a tragedy where international law is being systematically violated. He said an entire population is being subjected to disproportionate military force. His demand was unequivocal and urgent: safe, swift, and unimpeded access for humanitarian aid. Without it, the suffering will only deepen. The world is pleading for access. The criticism isn't just verbal anymore. There are real geopolitical consequences brewing. Prime Minister Netanyahu himself is under scrutiny. He is sought under an international criminal court warrant. The allegations? War crimes and crimes against humanity. Mr. Netanyahu has dismissed these charges. He called the ICC's move anti-Semitic, but the warrant itself is a major statement. It shows how seriously some view the situation. International justice is a slow, powerful force. France, under President Macron, is taking a lead, especially among European allies. They are toughening their language against Israel's offensive. It's not just rhetoric, sources say. A senior European diplomatic source gave insight. They said there's a real sense of growing political anger. Anger at the dire humanitarian situation, a feeling that a line is being crossed, and a perception of this Israeli government appearing to act with impunity, they said. So what could these further concrete steps be? France is seriously considering a big one, joining 148 other states in recognizing Palestine, recognizing it as an independent state. This could happen at a conference in New York, co-chaired with Saudi Arabia in early June. The United Kingdom has also discussed this. They've talked with France about Palestinian recognition. This would be a massive shift in global politics. And then there's the threat of sanctions. However, not everyone in Israel agrees with easing pressure, or even with allowing more aid. Israeli Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir spoke out. He criticized Mr. Netanyahu's decision, the decision for even limited aid into Gaza. He claimed it would fuel Hamas and give it oxygen while our hostages languish. Mr. Ben-Gvir has a controversial past. Convicted in 2007 for incitement to racism, the situation is complex, tensions high, a peaceful resolution is desperately needed. The human toll just keeps on mounting.